Welcome to our video on the 8 must-have preparations for a grid-down scenario. Imagine a world where electricity is no longer guaranteed. No lights, no internet, and no access to essential services we often take for granted. Are you ready to face such a challenge? Whether it's due to natural disasters, cyber attacks, or prolonged power outages, being prepared for a grid-down scenario is crucial for your safety and survival. In this video, we'll walk you through the top 8 must-haves to help you stay prepared and self-reliant. From essential supplies like food and water to tools for staying warm and ensuring communication, we've got you covered. Our goal is to provide you with practical, actionable steps to protect you and your family in times of uncertainty. Stick with us as we break down these vital preparations and help you build resilience for the unexpected. 1. Stockpile non-perishable food. When disaster strikes, the availability of food goes from a convenience to a desperate necessity. Grocery shelves will empty faster than you think, and the unprepared will be left scrambling. Stockpiling non-perishable food is not optional, it's an absolute must. Without a solid food reserve, you're opening your household to chaos, starvation, and panic. You can't eat good intentions or rely solely on neighbors to bail you out in a crisis. Build your food stockpile now while you still have access. Start with canned goods. Cans of soups, beans, vegetables, fruits, tuna, and meats are lifesavers in grid-down scenarios. They are affordable, compact, and most importantly, have long shelf lives. You may think canned peas or tuna might get boring after a while, but guess what? Hunger doesn't care about boring. These items are loaded with essential nutrients to keep your family healthy during times when fresh food isn't an option. They're also ready to eat straight out of the can, no stove or power required, making them invaluable. Next, don't overlook calorie-dense snacks like peanut butter, nuts, granola bars, and dried fruits. These are lightweight but pack a punch nutritionally. Peanut butter alone is a protein powerhouse that can fuel your body for hours. Granola bars and nuts provide long-lasting energy, which is critical when you'll likely be performing physical tasks like hauling water, moving supplies, or doing manual labor in a power-deficient environment. Snacking on these foods will help stave off fatigue and keep you focused. If you want to take your preparation even further, look into ready-to-eat meals, widely known as MREs, meals ready to eat. Originally designed for military use, MREs are dependable for emergency situations thanks to their long shelf life and self-contained packaging. They were engineered for worst-case scenarios, so they don't require refrigeration or cooking. While they might not be a Michelin star experience, they are dependable and functional when survival is the goal. Throw a few packs in your pantry, in your bug-out bag, or in the trunk of your car. MREs will have your back. One thing most preppers neglect is proper stock rotation. Don't make the rookie mistake of letting items sit in your stash until they're practically fossilized. Food doesn't last forever, even if it's canned or vacuum sealed. Rotate your stockpile regularly. Use older items in your everyday cooking and replace them with new goods. This ensures your emergency stockpile retains its quality and prevents waste. If you don't do this, you'll be kicking yourself when half your food supply is expired when you need it most. Be disciplined now so you don't pay for it later. Lastly, consider the specific needs of your household. Do you have babies who need formula or picky eaters who may refuse certain foods unless there's no other option? Build your stockpile around your family's dietary preferences and nutritional requirements. It's better to have things everyone will eat to avoid food going uneaten in an emergency. The message is simple and blunt. Stockpile non-perishable food, or be prepared to go hungry. Don't bank on government aid or last-minute grocery runs. The time to prepare is now, not during the storm. 2. Stockpile clean drinking water. Water is life. It's not a cliché, it's a cold, hard fact. Without clean water, survival becomes impossible within days. You cannot afford to treat water storage as an afterthought. Food might buy you weeks of survival, but water buys you days. A grid-down scenario means clean tap water could stop flowing indefinitely, and you'll need enough on hand to meet your family's drinking, cooking, and hygiene needs. Failure to prepare in this area is pure negligence. Start with water storage basics. Store at least 1 gallon of water per person per day for a minimum of 2 weeks. For a standard family of 4, that's a whopping 56 gallons. Don't underestimate how much water this is. When you factor in additional uses beyond drinking, like cooking, washing dishes, cleaning wounds, or hygiene essentials, the required amount grows significantly. Yes, it's a lot of water, and yes, it will take up space, but the alternative is dehydration. Make room or pay the price. When storing water, use the right storage container. Cheap milk jugs or flimsy plastic bottles are a disaster waiting to happen. They can degrade, crack, and leach chemicals into your water supply. Instead, invest in food-grade, BPA-free containers designed for long-term use. Water storage barrels, collapsible tanks, and even 5-gallon jugs commonly found in offices are excellent options. Seal them tight and store them in a cool, dark place to prevent contamination and algae growth. This is about quality, not cutting corners. Of course, no matter how much water you store, there's a chance you'll run out during a prolonged crisis. That's where water purification methods come into play. Rainwater, melted snow, and water from natural sources like rivers or lakes may be your backups, but they're not inherently safe to drink. You need a way to purify these alternative sources. Invest in tools like LifeStraw or Sawyer filters for personal use, Berkey systems for larger families, or stock up on purification tablets for compact portability. Boiling water is another option, but requires fuel and a heat source. Luxuries that might not always be available. Don't overlook additional water needs beyond drinking. If you plan to prepare freeze-dried meals or cook with basic ingredients, you'll need water for that. Think about personal sanitation like brushing teeth, washing hands, or even minimal bathing. These small acts contribute to hygiene and help prevent illness. Planning for these needs will require extra gallons, so factor that into your storage calculations. Staying clean during a prolonged disaster isn't about vanity, it's about health and survival. To ensure your water plan is airtight, conduct a test run before a crisis happens. Shut off your home's water supply for a weekend and see how long your stored water lasts. Make adjustments based on your trial run. You'll be surprised at how much you go through in just a short amount of time. The truth about water storage is simple. If you fail to prepare properly, you're putting yourself and your loved ones at serious risk. When the taps go dry, nobody's coming to deliver cases of bottled water to your doorstep. Your survival is your responsibility, so act accordingly. Stockpile and purify today, or pay the ultimate price tomorrow. 3. First aid and medical supplies. When the grid goes down, access to medical facilities and trained professionals could be severely limited, if not downright impossible. This means you'll have to be ready to handle any injuries, illnesses, or emergencies on your own. If you're not equipped with the right first aid and medical supplies, you're putting yourself and your family at unnecessary risk. Having a fully stocked first aid kit isn't optional, it's mandatory. Some simple bandages and antibiotic ointment won't cut it. You need a comprehensive first aid kit that covers a wide range of injuries. Stock bandages of varying sizes, gauze pads, antiseptic wipes, medical tape, and rubbing alcohol. Make sure you include items for wound care, such as butterfly closures, sterile gauze rolls, and wound irrigation solutions. Anything less could leave you vulnerable to infection or improper healing. For pain and other minor health issues, do not underestimate the value of over-the-counter medications. Stock up on a variety of essentials, including ibuprofen, acetaminophen, antihistamines, antidiarrheal tablets, and antacids. These medications can alleviate everything from headaches to allergic reactions to stomach distress, all of which are bound to happen when you're under the stress of an emergency situation. Don't assume your local pharmacy will be open or restocked anytime soon. When in doubt, buy extra. If you or anyone in your household relies on prescription medications, securing at least a 1-month surplus is non-negotiable. Whether it's for blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, or other chronic conditions, ensure that you have what you need to manage these life-critical issues. Speak to your doctor ahead of time to explain the situation and make this request. It's better to have these medications and not need them than to find yourself in a life or meth situation because you ran out. Preventing infections will be a matter of survival. Without access to advanced care, something as simple as a small cut could lead to a fatal infection. Stock plenty of antibiotic ointments, iodine solutions, and antiseptics to clean wounds thoroughly. Don't forget high-strength medical gloves to protect your hands, sterile tools like tweezers to remove splinters or debris, and surgical masks to reduce the risk of airborne illnesses. Beyond stockpiling basic items, ensure you're equipped with specialized medical supplies. Invest in equipment like thermometers for tracking potential fevers, splints for broken bones, and emergency tourniquets. Don't fool yourself into thinking this is overkill. Include scissors, syringes, and medical-grade adhesive in your kit. You may not have the skills of a surgeon, but you can't afford to be completely unprepared if a serious problem arises. Do your research, learn how to use these items, and practice before you need them. On the subject of disease prevention, sanitation is everything. Stock plenty of disposable gloves, masks, antiseptics, and hand sanitizers. If you think supplies like these aren't urgent, imagine trying to deal with a contagious flu outbreak or an untreated wound in a makeshift shelter. These tools might seem negligible now, but they'll be life-saving when water is scarce and healthcare systems are non-operational. Finally, don't assume that having supplies is enough. Medical knowledge is your ultimate tool. All the bandages or medications in the world won't help you if you don't know how to use them. Get basic first aid training and always keep a first aid manual in your kit. Better yet, look for free or low-cost courses in CPR and emergency wound care. Educational resources like these could mean the difference between success and failure in critical situations. The bottom line is simple. If you don't have first aid supplies, medications, and knowledge, you're playing with fire in a grid-down scenario. 4. Backup communication methods. When the grid goes down, don't count on your cell phone to save you. The towers that power our communication systems may fail, and without electricity, recharging them will be unreliable. Clear and effective communication is critical when emergencies arise, and you'll need multiple backup methods to stay connected with your group and the world around you. Rely on technology sparingly but intelligently, and always have analog options at hand. A good starting point is investing in two-way radios. These highly dependable devices don't rely on cell towers or the internet and can allow communication across several miles. Consider models like the Midland GX Tone 1000 or Baofeng UV5R, known for their reliability, long battery life, and lightweight designs. Make sure everyone in your group knows how to use them properly and carries one at all times, particularly during group separation or scouting missions. Don't underestimate the importance of an emergency radio either. Crank-powered or solar-powered models can keep you informed of weather updates or disaster reports even when electricity is out. Radios capable of receiving NOAA weather alerts and emergency broadcasts, such as the Kaito Voyager or a Midland emergency weather radio, are invaluable. Do not cut corners here. Staying informed is crucial in survival situations, when minute-by-minute updates can mean life or death. Satellite messaging devices are an ideal backup, especially for remote locations. Tools like Garmin InReach or Spot Messengers enable two-way communication with emergency services and offer features like GPS tracking. While satellite devices may cost more up front, they can bridge the communication gap when other devices fail. If nothing else, these tools give you the reassurance of knowing that help is always within reach, even if it takes time to arrive. While high-tech solutions are great, you must prepare for the possibility of full-tech failure. Low-tech options are not optional. Keep whistles, mirrors, and flares in your toolkit for signaling. A whistle can draw attention during search and rescue situations, while flares and mirrors can signal your location over long distances. It's basic, but it works. Pen and paper can also be vital for leaving written messages or conveying instructions between locations. Don't underestimate these simple tools. Finally, practice and planning make all the difference. None of this equipment matters if you don't know how to use it effectively. Conduct regular communication drills with your family or group to ensure everyone is familiar with each device. Test your two-way radios, practice using whistles for signaling, and establish clear communication protocols so everyone understands what to do when the grid goes down. Don't assume you'll figure it out in the moment. Preparation is key. To sum it up, backup communication tools are not just nice to have, they're essential. Invest now in reliable technology like radios and satellite devices. And make sure you have the analog tools to compensate for tech failures. Train yourself and your group to use these tools effectively so you're not scrambling when communication becomes a matter of survival. 5. Security and home defense. When the grid goes down, security becomes one of your top priorities. Without law enforcement readily available, your personal safety and the security of your home will be entirely up to you. The first step is physical security. Start by reinforcing all entry points in your home. Your doors should have deadbolts that can't be easily tampered with, and sliding doors should be secured with sturdy locks or security bars to prevent forced entry. Windows are another weak spot. Install window bars or shatter-resistant window films that make breaking in much harder for potential intruders. Remember, deterrence is key. If your home looks like it would take too much effort to breach, most intruders will move on to an easier target. Next, consider your personal defense options, especially if threats escalate. If you're comfortable with firearms, they are a highly effective means of protection, but they require proper training. Don't cut corners here. A firearm is a tool, and like any tool, it's only as effective as the person wielding it. Ensure you also stockpile sufficient ammunition because, in a long-term grid-down event, those resources will be extremely hard to replenish. If firearms aren't for you, there are plenty of non-lethal options that can still keep you safe. Equip yourself with pepper spray, stun guns, or expandable batons. These give you a fighting chance if someone tries to attack. Though they require you to get closer to the threat, it's still better than being unarmed. Community alliances are a step that too many people overlook when planning for home defense. Strong relationships with your neighbors aren't just nice to have, they're a survival necessity. Building mutual trust with those around you can create a security network. Your neighbors are your first line of defense if someone is scouting your area for weaknesses. They can alert you to suspicious activity, and in return, you can do the same for them. Coordinate patrols, exchange resources when needed, and discuss disaster plans with your trusted neighbors. A united front is far harder to penetrate than a lone, isolated house. Lastly, focus on perimeter security. This means making your property unappealing and difficult to approach after dark. Install solar-powered motion sensor lights around your home and yard. Not only do these make it easier for you to detect movement, but they also discourage intruders who fear being spotted. Another option is to set up basic perimeter alarms, such as tripwire systems or door sensors, to alert you if anyone approaches your home while you're sleeping or otherwise occupied. Forget fancy high-tech solutions. They'll be useless in a long-term blackout. Stick with practical, low-tech methods that don't require electricity and are low maintenance. Your goal with home defense is to make yourself a hard target that's not worth the trouble. Between physical barriers, personal preparedness, trusted allies, and advanced warning systems, you can stack the odds in your favor, even when everything else is falling apart. 6. Alternative cooking methods. Once the grid is down, all the modern luxuries of cooking, electric ovens, microwaves, and even gas stoves, depending on the situation, become completely useless. You'll need reliable alternative cooking methods to prepare food and avoid the risks that come with consuming raw or undercooked meals. The good news is, there are several tested and effective options available if you're willing to prepare in advance. Start with portable stoves. A propane camping stove or a butane burner is compact, easy to use, and dependable. These stoves can work in virtually any weather, provided you've safely stored enough fuel canisters to last through an extended outage. Always handle these fuel sources with care. Store them in a dry, ventilated area away from heat where they won't ignite accidentally. Depending on usage, your fuel may run out sooner than you expect, so it's smart to have other solutions in place as backup. For those who prefer off-grid ingenuity, rocket stoves are an excellent choice. Brands like EcoZoom or Solo Stove are designed to burn small amounts of wood or biomass very efficiently. They generate significant heat with minimal smoke, making them ideal if discretion matters, because drawing attention to yourself during a survival situation is the last thing you want. Rocket stoves are durable, portable, and offer sustainable cooking for as long as you have access to sticks, twigs, or other combustible material. Keep one handy and practice using it beforehand. These are low-tech tools with maximum survival potential. For food preparation without dependence on fuels, solar ovens are a game-changer. Devices like the All-American Sun Oven harness the power of sunlight to cook food or boil water during the day. They're particularly useful in sunny climates where consistent exposure to sunlight ensures they can operate most days. Do they require patience? Sure. Cooking times vary based on sunlight intensity, but the trade-off is worth it. Solar ovens are completely renewable and zero cost once purchased. Plus, they double as a water purification tool, easily reaching temperatures hot enough to kill bacteria, which can save you vital resources in the long run. If all else fails, go back to the basics with outdoor cooking. A well-built fire pit is straightforward and incredibly versatile for boiling water, grilling, or cooking stews. Equip yourself with durable cast iron cookware. It can handle high heat and last forever if cared for properly. Have a dependable wood supply stored in a dry area because, in wet conditions, trying to start a fire with damp wood can waste time and effort. Pair this setup with portable fire starters like magnesium kits or waterproof matches and you'll always have the ability to cook, regardless of technology or modern tools. Just remember that smoke and light from a fire can attract attention, so build your fire away from open view and limit its size if security is a concern. 7. Emergency power sources. When the grid goes down, power sources become one of the highest priorities. Without electricity, modern life grinds to a halt. You must plan ahead for emergency power solutions, because waiting for the lights to flicker off is a surefire way to be left in the dark. The options range from tech-savvy solutions to old-school methods, and you should consider diversifying to ensure redundancy. Here are the tools you need. Portable power stations should be at the top of your list. These rechargeable battery packs, such as the Jackery Explorer 1000 or the Blue Yeti AC200P, operate quietly and without fuel. They're excellent for running small appliances like lights, fans, or your CPAP machine, and can keep your essential devices like phones and laptops powered. However, these units will eventually need to be recharged, so pair them with solar panels if you want to extend their usability during prolonged outages. Solar generators are an excellent long-term solution because they don't rely on fuel. Unlike gas generators, you're not running the risk of fuel shortages or having to store volatile materials. They're quiet, environmentally friendly, and as long as the sun shines, you'll have power. On the flip side, they're expensive up front and require direct sunlight to be effective. Don't expect them to power high-energy appliances like refrigerators or heaters for long, but for lights and charging devices, they're a reliable option. If you need raw dependability and the ability to power more demanding equipment, gas generators are a tried-and-true choice. For flexibility, invest in a dual-fuel generator that runs on both gasoline and propane. These machines deliver consistent power but come with significant drawbacks. You'll need to store fuel safely and in sufficient quantities. Many people underestimate just how much gas you'll need for even a few days of use. Another downside? Gas generators are noisy and make your location a clear target for desperate individuals. If you're going with this option, prioritize fuel storage and adhere to strict safety guidelines to avoid fires or carbon monoxide poisoning. For small-scale solutions, focus on hand crank or solar-powered chargers. These won't keep your fridge running, but they'll charge essentials like phones or radios. Rechargeable batteries that come with solar charging kits are another solution to keep flashlights, headlamps, and other small devices functional. Think of these as supplements to your larger power sources. They're lightweight, easy to use, and have no fuel dependency. If you have access to a functioning vehicle, 12 V-car inverters can be lifesavers. These small devices convert your car's DC power into AC power to run small appliances or charge devices. Don't overdo it. You don't want to drain your car battery and leave yourself stranded. Use this method sparingly and have jumper cables or a jump starter on hand as a backup. Lastly, don't underestimate the value of traditional lighting options. Candles, lanterns, oil lamps, and even glow sticks can light the way when technology fails you. Stock up on extra wicks, fuel, and matches. While they won't replace electric lighting, they're reliable and don't require complicated systems. Just practice caution to avoid accidental fires. The bottom line? No single power solution is perfect, so prepare a mix of the above options to stay adaptable. When the grid collapses, those who plan for multiple redundancies will emerge on top. 8. Medical preparedness. A grid-bound scenario amplifies the importance of medical preparedness because suddenly there are no hospitals, no pharmacies, and no emergency services coming to bail you out. It's up to you to handle your medical needs, and in a crisis, even small injuries or illnesses can quickly turn deadly. You need more than a basic drugstore first aid kit. You need the tools and knowledge to handle serious situations. Here's what you need to focus on. Start with an expanded first aid kit. Your standard kits won't cut it in an emergency. You need items that go beyond band-aids and antiseptic wipes. Stock tools for advanced wound care, such as butterfly closures, steri strips, or even sutures if you have the skills to use them. Add blood clotting agents like Celox or Quick Clot to stop severe bleeding fast. You also need a variety of dressings, gauze pads, medical tape, and splints to stabilize injuries. If space allows, include an emergency tourniquet and scissors for cutting clothing. For infections, antibiotics should be part of your arsenal. While you can't stroll into a pharmacy post-consuming, fish antibiotics, such as Fish Flex or Fish Flex, are often the same formulations used for humans. Research carefully and consult a medical professional before relying on these, but in a true emergency, they could save your life when an infection sets in. Keep a close eye on stomach and respiratory health. Stomach illnesses, like severe diarrhea, can cause dehydration and quickly lead to danger without medical intervention. Stock activated charcoal and anti-diarrheal medications to mitigate those risks. Electrolyte powders or tablets are a lifesaver for preventing dehydration. Respiratory protection is equally critical. N95 masks will help in smoke-filled environments or during outbreaks of airborne illnesses. When information from online resources disappears, having physical medical guides becomes critical. Books like the Survival Medicine Handbook provide step-by-step directions for handling emergencies, everything from treating burns to extracting teeth. You don't have to be a doctor to use these resources, just take the time to familiarize yourself with the content before disaster strikes. Medical preparedness requires both supplies and knowledge. Take courses in first aid or, better yet, wilderness first aid, as those teach triage techniques helpful in remote or resource-limited settings. During a grid-down scenario, every second counts. You'll need skills to match your stocked supplies.